Greeting, traveler.
I have no time for games.
The end is coming! Who am I?
Let me change your mind.
You require my assistance? Adios! We're gonna be rich.
I have no time for games.
Inferno! You require my assistance? Who am I?
Let me change your mind.
Hold on one second. Fans, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to another Wednesday. You know what that means. Yes, we are halfway through the week. Yes, you start making your hump day jokes. And yes, I don't even know what my third point was going to be, but that doesn't matter because we are here for another episode of Tavern Talk, the show where we get to talk about the weekly shenanigans of THL and make some fun, if not terrible, hot takes along the way. I am, of course, JR Juggerlaw here as always, and I've got my two regular hosts today without any guests as for your enjoyment. We've got ourselves, of course, the master of the OPs, the man who is allegedly both part doctor and part fish, but I think he's only part fish. Say hello to Dr. Fish.
Going on, everybody? It is wonderful to be here. It's another episode of Tavern Talk, which means we're in for a good time. Yeah, got some exciting matches this week.
Yes, we do. We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and of course, our other main host, he is, I want to say, part Element, but I think he's just part Hearthstone, part good human being, and part competitive player. You know, battles in his name after all. Say hello to Geranium Battle.
Hello. Yeah, I'm pretty close to an element. Germanium is one of the elements, but But no, I'm more about geraniums, the flowers, uh, and
Oh, that's right.
yeah, make peace, not war, which is why I played such extremely long control matches
Oh, and
last
make love.
weekend.
Make love as
Yeah,
well.
yes, is it was very peaceful on the battlefield for a very long time.
I believe you. I believe you. So we've got a lot of course, a lot to discuss tonight. Of course, the biggest thing is that we'll start off with. We'll keep this relatively brief. The nerfs came out. We got ourselves patch notes, everybody.
Oh yeah.
I, I'll be honest. I am very conflicted about this because I think for the most part I like the changes, but it's hard to kind of ignore the giant elephant in the room, and I think we all know what that elephant is. And Cantor's Flow was not touched.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
That
I
is frustrating.
yes,
So basically, refreshing is still cost 4, unfortunately.
or 3.
It can still cost 4,
Yeah.
yes, unfortunately. It's I mean, look, the thing is we kind of discussed this, I think, outside of the show, but the biggest issue with Mage, while refreshing spring water is a major culprit of, oh, here's a card that basically says free draw two. It wouldn't be nearly as powerful if Encanter's Flow didn't reduce all the cost of your spells in your deck. That's really what it boils down to. Encanter's Flow was just this very frustrating card to play against because you basically said, hey, my entire deck now costs one less. And you could really, it wasn't hard to see how impactful that discount could be in so many matches. It felt like there were some very powerful decks, and Mage wasn't necessarily the best deck, but there were often times where you felt like, man, I really can't overcome that deficit that's created by Encanter's Flow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
it's not like Mage is going to stop running refreshing or anything like that. I mean, it's
no,
they need the draw because they're comboing your entire deck. But man, there were some pretty hard hits though.
yes, there were.
I think that first day of school's change almost kills Paladin. Uh, Lots of Paladins need that early presence, need that one drop, and now they don't have it a lot of the time.
I'll be honest, I don't think it kills Paladin, but I don't think that's actually the reason why I think it's so problematic. I think one of the bigger issues with it is the fact that, especially in the mirror, being able to trigger your opponent's oh my yag with a free card like first day of school was always great. But I think the deck also runs enough early game where you didn't necessarily need to rely on it. But I won't deny it's definitely a relevant change.
So I think with first day of school, I think this affects aggro paladin to the point where without running secrets, the deck is like if you're not running secrets and you're running an aggro deck, it might actually just not work anymore without first day. Um,
Right.
I think I think that the more controlly versions, which Libram Paladin, which we've seen for a couple of metagames now, still gonna be fine. Still gonna be fine to play honestly if you want to play Libram Paladin. Um, I I wasn't expecting the 1 mana change. I might have been more in favor of just making it neutrals, but I understand why they made it. Why they made this specific change. So I don't know. I think this change is gonna be super impactful though, but I'm not so sure I'm against it because I every time I played against Paladin, I saw first day on one. I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be a tough one. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're playing a straight counter deck that doesn't care about it, like kind of that same Encanter's Flow thing. It had such a high mulligan win rate, such a high keep percentage.
I think Paladin is in a place right now where
Yeah.
people are going to find new ways to just make it work. I'm not
Yeah,
really
for
worried about it
sure.
personally.
I think Paladin will survive. But I just don't think it'll be as powerful, and that's exactly the point of this change.
Yeah.
And there's a couple more changes. There's Hysteria going from 3 mana to 4 mana. Same effect. I think it's
It's relevant, but it's not
it's
going to cause the card to see less play.
Probably they
yes.
just
It's
yeah.
just
It's still
in the
very powerful. I like the change a lot. It's absolutely relevant. It's absolutely going to make a difference. But I
yes.
kind of like the fact that it's also not going to make the card any less playable. It's just going to be more balanced.
Yes, it's
This
in the
might
right
arguably
spot.
be one of the best changes out of all the nerfs, honestly.
Agreed. I think this is
because
the
I
one.
think at this point you're doing the right thing to really make a card both less good but still very much playable. Also, side note, something that I didn't think about until I played a game on ladder a little while ago. This is actually, you could argue, relevant to Control Warlock because now Hysteria corrupts your the 3 mana dude that puts
Lucky Soul Hoarders.
soul fragments. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's actually relevant to my surprise.
it really is. But I
Yeah.
like it. I like this Hysteria change.
Yes.
Why couldn't they make Hysteria 5 mana so it would also corrupt the
Cascading.
cascading?
I mean,
It would.
I mean, it's
That
still
might
a
that
really
would
powerful
make it
card,
worse than that would make it worse than mass hysteria, and you can't
Yeah,
have this
I'm
being
very
worse than
curious to
mass.
see if. Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to ultimately happen, but I think it's still
Yeah.
going to be really good.
For sure.
And then, of course, we've got Crab Rider. This absolutely needed to happen. I understand some people.
I
Really disagree on
absolutely
this.
I was blown away that they came up with this change.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it's now just it's a rush minion, and it has a battle cry of gaining Wind Fury for 1 turn, and so the dev who does the dev comments is Alec Dawson, who,
Yes.
if people who
Former
don't know,
THL player.
yes, he's a former THL player indeed, and a champion of THL.
Yes, he is.
His comment being that they pretty much want Crab Rider to not to be something that that is more of a board swinger. It's supposed to be there to swing the board, but then if it sticks around, it's such a threat, it'll just win the game.
Let's all do a show of hands. How many of you have lost several games purely from the fact that Crab Rider stuck around and then they had some sort of way to buff it, and then you died from lethal because it seemingly didn't seem like such a big deal, and then they managed to buff it and make it your absolute worst nightmare?
I've also won a lot of games from that.
Yeah, I have too.
Yes, definitely.
Specifically
But
recently.
Point is, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Much like being a bisexual.
Whoa.
Hey.
But yeah,
Hey.
no, we have some impactful changes like
Yeah.
like the Crab Rider, like the Hysteria, like the first day of school, and we have Mancrick changing as well,
Yes.
which is going to be, instead of a 3/10, it is a 3/7. Uh, my teammate Justin did the math, and about 10 to 12% of the time you draw the angry wife immediately after you play Mancrick, and that just
Yeah.
sort of ends games. So now it ends games a little bit less, but still it's quite a huge board presence if you get it immediately.
I love this change personally. It's still a very powerful card. Mancrick is still going to be a very splashable neutral legendary, but now the wife is just not something that you have to look at and go, "Oh, I lost," because they drew it right away.
Exactly. That was the whole point of this, and I love the change.
That's the thing. I really like all of these changes for the most part. The only one that really bugs me is the refreshing spring water because they didn't touch Incanter's Flow as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with all of those impactful changes, there's also 10 not so impactful changes. We're not going to go over every single one, but the buffs are pretty minimal. Plus attack here and there, minus a mana here and there.
Yep.
It's some changes to Deck of Lunacy, hypothetically, but otherwise it's probably not going to impact the metagame that much.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Razor Board, which was buffed up from a 2/2 minion to a 3/2 minion, but Death Rattle Demon Hunter hasn't really seen much play, so I don't really expect that to change from this patch.
I agree.
Then you have Dark Inquisitor Zanesh, which I'll be honest, I love this card. I think I think there's a lot of potential with this one, but unfortunately, because of the place Priest is at right now, nobody has really been able to kind of find a build for it where Priest that's with that's better than what they already have right now.
Yeah.
So kind of like I think it's excuse me. I think it's one of those cards that could get much better in the next couple expansions, but for now, it's probably just going to have to sit back and be like a meme card, more or less.
Yeah.
Unbound Elemental buff, I think, is going to be very relevant, assuming that... sorry, Fishy, we're going to say something about Zanesh?
No. I'm more on the camp that I think that, really, the two semi-relevant I think that N'Zoth and Shield Maiden are the ones that will probably
Yeah.
have the biggest impact, and that goes for wild and standard. I think N'Zoth being 9 mana is really interesting with the existence of animated broomstick. So we'll see if somebody comes up with something that works, where you pretty much combine broomstick with bringing back
I
all
saw
these
somebody
minions.
posting about that could be such a huge swing turn.
Yeah, maybe that'll get
if
broomstick
you're-
nerfed. But I don't know, broomstick just hasn't been big because board presence decks like
Which I'm shocked by
they've
because
had
I
rush
thought-
they've had like the rush minions or the charge minions in the case of wild, and even hand buff paladin actually runs broomsticks.
I actually thought at one point broomstick should have been nerfed, so I'm kind of surprised to see how
Yeah.
quickly it fell out of favor with this expansion.
Yeah, for sure.
Back when
Um,
Penfinger was nerfed, it was even tossed around that Broomstick would get a small nerf instead of
Yes.
the 2 minions next to it that get rushed. But
Yeah, I agree.
I will also say this though in regards to the buffs. I actually think the Unbound Elemental buff could be relevant if Shaman ends up coming back at some point.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think that'll definitely be
I
relevant.
think the title surge change could also be pretty solid. I mean, it's a nice discount. Title surge is a pretty good card. I forgot, was that moved into the core set
Yeah.
or no?
I believe so.
Yeah, title surge
Okay,
is core.
yeah, because I was gonna say,
And
I thought, yeah, so that card I think could definitely be good. Lilypad Lurker, I kind of have a similar feeling on. It's like that's still a pretty solid card. It's obviously not as good as say like Hex, because Hex was taken out of the core set, right? Same with Polymorph or no?
Hex is
I know Polymorph was, but
Hex
I
is
don't
in.
remember.
Hex is core.
Hex is
Yeah,
in
Hex
still,
is still
never
in core, and then polymorph
So it's
was
like it's not as
removed.
good as Hex, but I still think this card could still be really good as far as like, oh hey, here's a big body that
Yeah,
also
agreed.
transforms one of your minions into a frog. That's
Mhm.
pretty powerful.
Yeah, I'm currently running a free to play account, and I'm playing Shaman, so these buffs are welcome, but I
Yeah.
don't even think they're going to be impactful for me.
Gotcha.
I'm just sad because I really want Deck of Chaos to be good, and I don't think this is going to make Deck of Chaos good.
I also doubt it.
Same with Whirling Combatant. I feel like I would love for those cards to be more useful, but I just don't see it happening. I mean, Whirling Combatant, Frenzy Warrior didn't really take off, unfortunately, so I'm not sure if that's something that, like, I think if it does take off at some point, maybe this becomes something really solid, but we'll see.
Maybe,
We'll see.
yeah.
I mean, keep in mind the quote unquote buff to N'Zoth is actually a nerf in Deck of Chaos. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Shield Maiden, I think if Control Warrior really starts to become more of a thing, which, I mean, I did see that clown Control Warrior that Geranium brought to Legacy last week.
yeah,
I'm
they
very
nerfed my N'Zoth. I can no longer corrupt the clowns with N'Zoth.
Yeah, you have to play Yasharaj then. Or something. You can't
Yeah.
even play Yasharaj for it. You need to find some other 10 mana card.
It's just rabbits. Rabbits is the only thing I
Rabbit's
have
the
now.
only thing. Wow. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of a bummer.
Well, first of
All
all,
right.
you're playing Rabbit. Stop it.
And
Fine, let me play you with my clown deck
yeah,
then.
I'm
I
good.
would I'd
Good.
love
Yeah.
to continue this because I love
Yeah, no,
talking
but
about
I
this.
think that really covers it. We're not
Yeah.
going to go over the Battlegrounds changes. I will just
No.
end by saying I am very happy to see N'Zoth get some love because I think
Yeah.
N'Zoth is a very good card, and I really want to see somebody make a good deck out of it.
For sure.
I think with the changes slowing down the meta a little bit, maybe actually see something like with N'Zoth take off. I'm curious,
Oh,
I think as long as as long as you've got decks like Mage, though, it could be a problem. But hey, we'll see what happens.
For sure. All right.
All right, so we're going to talk about Legacy now. Am I correct?
Yeah, we're going right into our first series, which is Legacy.
Right into it. So, I'm starting us off, right?
You are. I will mention just for people, the bye-week teams are on the screen, and for you guys, it's Flame Pimps from Red, and then as Geranium knows, it's Do You Even Talk from. Do You Even Talk
From Gold.
from Gold?
I know all too well.
Yep. Geranium gets. I had the break last week. Geranium has the break this week.
I had it
enough.
week 1 too. I
Wow.
mean the Legacy
I was
team.
gonna
My
say, if you had
captain.
it next week, that would be perfect. Because then
Yeah,
we'd
it would be
all
perfect.
right there together.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got ourselves a good one in this match, I'd say. Defias Brotherhood versus Hot Zilfs. Hot Zilfs, of course, being the top of gold right now, I believe. Or, sorry, almost at the top. They are the only 3-0 team in gold, I believe. If I have, I'm
Hot,
trying to
Hot
open
Sauce
up the
is
standings. in
top,
front of me. Yes,
They are,
top
yeah.
in
yes,
points
they are
per
the
week.
only 3-0 team, but because they have a bye and there are the 4 teams ahead of them have not had their byes yet, they're only in 5th somehow, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah, I mean it's points per week. So after this
Right.
week, they should get to if they keep the same, they should get another 18 points, and they should go to 72, which is
Correct.
in the lead.
They currently have
Yeah.
the most points per week, right? The only team ahead of my legacy team, but we'll get to that soon.
Sure.
But yeah, Hot Zilfs, they're coming in hot, pun intended. These guys are just killing it right now. Jim Filos is the only member of this team that's struggling right now, but I think he's going to turn it around this week. I feel like these guys work very well together. They're gonna pick themselves up. They're gonna kick some ass. They're going to get a big win against Defiance Brotherhood, who are no slouches, but they got themselves a tough week ahead of them. These guys are doing pretty well overall as well. The only
Yeah.
player who's struggling there is, of course, Hockey, but we all know Hockey. He's going to bring it back. That's just Hockey boys for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wild
actually,
9, 4-0 in the 1. My goodness gracious,
Yeah.
that is
that's
impressive. That
not
I,
true. He was in the 2, and he has just now switched to the 1.
Oh,
Yes.
that's right.
Yeah,
Wait a
Hockey
minute.
Hockey was their 1 seed.
Yes, that's right.
And he
That's
lost
right.
last week, taking him below 550 PR.
That's right.
Wild
That's right.
9,
We were
winning his
talking about
match,
it
got
last week
there.
about this because we were saying how, like, man, he's really, like, he could end up putting himself in the 1, and
Mhm.
he's really been
Yeah.
he's really been, like, just really improving. Like, the way he's gotten his PR up from, like, almost 400 to 550 is kind of nuts.
Yeah, and hats off to Defias last week. I partially picked this match so I could just congratulate Defias on they destroyed my team last week. They won with like 8. I think they got 18 points, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
And my team only got 7. So congratulations to Defias. Everybody winning besides Hockey last week.
For reference, Dr. Vish's team is Orcs That Smorks, which
Yes.
used to be the highest points per week in the league. And then last week against Defias Brotherhood happened. So Orcs That
Yes.
Smorks definitely still like hot in contention. They still have the second most points per week because they were so far ahead
Mhm.
before the last week. But
Yeah, having 21 points a week will help when even if you take a bad week, you're still not too far behind in points per week.
actually talking about this match here,
Yeah,
Defias
for
Brotherhood
sure.
versus Hot Zilfs. Um, I think Wild 9 is just on a tear. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Jester versus Donde. I've been warned many a time to not ego boost Donde, so I think Jester's going to win. And then I think it's actually quite close amongst the others. Hockey Boys moving down a seed might make it a bit easier, or might also be another finals thing with him.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean seeing Jammy's had a super rough season last season, but seeing him 3-0 right now, almost back up to 550, like great to see.
Yeah,
Great to
he's
see
on a tear.
Great to see Jammy's having a good season. Him versus Hockey, like I think because Hockey's just been kind of struggling in Legacy, I think Jammy's might take it. Wild 9 versus Cold, gosh, that's gonna be a really good one.
I'm excited.
I I don't I don't think I could definitively pick a winner. I think because Wild 9 is 4-0, I think I wouldn't be surprised if Wild 9 just took it because he's on such a hot streak. Jester versus Donde. Yeah, that would be fun to watch on stream. Um, I don't know. I think I'm gonna pick Donde for that one. Neb Canuck versus Anfall. Give it to Neb Canuck, and then I'll say Jim Fullis gets. I know Eeks is a really good player. Like kind of has that effect. It kind of has like he's way under PR for how good he is effect. And I think, but I want to see Jim Filos break his streak, so I would say 3-2 for Zills with Neb taking it in the 4.
Okay. Over under on Wild 9 and Hockey Boys switching seeds for the entire rest of the season.
Gosh,
I
that's.
think it could happen.
Oh no,
Like,
I think it probably will.
I mean, if Wild 9 keeps this up, then it's
not gonna
pretty
happen,
likely in
but
my eyes.
I mean, if Wild9 loses, Hockey Boys wins, then they just switch right back, and
I'll
then they
s-
switch again, maybe, and it could.
I'll say two more,
Okay.
and Wild 9 ending up back in the 1 by the end of the season.
Mm.
All right. So, move on to our next match, and this is Geranium's match. I definitely think I just cut somebody's thought process off. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I think we kind of covered everything with that anyway.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So this one is in the red conference. It's F2L White versus Bank Yugi's fan club. And I picked this match mainly because it's sort of the closest in sort of record. I know F2L White has one more match than Bank Yugi's fan club, but that's sort of exactly it. There's 14 points difference, and that's pretty much exactly what 1 week will get you for either of these two teams. So
Mhm.
we already have one match in Pasca versus Sunday, a very close 3-2. But then looking at the other seeds, Myanodon versus Agent PWE, I think is going to be just lights out. I think that's going to be definitely a match to watch if it's able to be streamed. Skittles subbing in for Bank Yugi's fan club
Yes.
is going to make it very competitive against Rebob. Um, and then Snake Fods was absolutely killing it in the 4. And Rotted Zombie has shown his proficiency in other series, but he still needs to do that in Legacy. So I'm going to give the edge to Snake Fods.
Yeah.
And then finally, Slav versus Joltsy, also very, very close PR for 5 seeds. And very close win records.
Mhm.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one's a tough one to call for sure.
So, this is super interesting for Bank Yugi's fan club because they're actually going to be transitioning to a new 2 seed. Skittles is just a 1 week sub, but
Right.
Bill Snyder is actually going to be a perma sub for the team.
Yeah, I'm sad. I'm sad. No Glocko's taking a step back though.
Yeah, it's sad to see No Glocko not playing because he's one of the players I have always rooted for.
Same.
So this match is super interesting. Myanodon versus PWE is gonna be a really good match. Rebob versus Skittles. I mean, seeing my hero captain struggling in a lot of the series. I know he's definitely capable of winning. I know he's got a lot on his plate. But I mean, I'd like to see him get a rebound win over Skittles, but it's gonna be very close because they're both very good players. We see Posca took down the 3 in a close 5-game series. Rotted and Snake Fods, man. Rotted struggling here in Legacy. He is struggling to find his footing in the meta right now. I'm gonna guess Snake Fods looking good. And then Joltsy versus Slod. I don't know who to give the edge to. They're both really good. I'll say F2L White takes it with Slod, Myanodon, and Rotted breaking a streak. And then I say Skittles takes it for. I'll say Skittles over Rabobson. Give some love to my boy Skittles.
My prediction is that it's so close that Pasca versus Sunday might have just decided it.
Yeah.
That's always
Yeah.
a good one.
That's a possibility, yeah.
It also very well could be a tie, the second tie for both teams.
Mhm.
Like, it's very close.
Agreed.
I mean, this is hard. I feel like, oh man, all these matches are hard to call. Like, I'm expecting at least 2 more of these series to go into 5 games. For the record,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if all 5 of them go into 5 games. It's like that's just how close I feel like these guys all are in terms of skill level and overall performance. But man, it's anything's possible. I would say I give the slightest of edges to Bank Yuki's fan club just based on records and just based on overall positioning.
Gotcha.
I think like it was pretty. I also just think that Pasca's win could end up being very impactful
For sure.
by the end of it. So we'll see. We shall
Mhm.
see.
Yeah, for sure. Gonna be a close match because like Geranium said, They're 14 points apart, which is a pretty much what 1 week would be, for Bankyuki's fan club. So very interested to see how that plays out. And we've got one more match, and dare I try to say this is probably the marquee match of the week overall.
Debatable.
That comes out of the Red Conference. It's Dad Legend versus Illidan's Death Knights. Man,
AKA my chance to get revenge
yeah.
on my arch rivals.
So this match we've got Anna Zabin the 1 versus Rice Bowl. Rice Bowl now a 550 PR player. We've got your Mumked versus T Stew. Very close. They are the exact same PR as shown on screen. Ducharmo versus JR. Like hero teammates having to do battle. Blue Spartan versus Mad at Arms, and Haster versus Mighty Biz. And I have, the seasons that I've been on Tavern Talk, a lot of JR's team Illidan's have not exactly done the best, but I am so happy for your team.
I mean, like, to
and
be
these
fair, we had two really good. This is our 4th season.
Okay.
We had 2 pretty solid seasons where we just missed the playoffs, overall, I was pretty happy with our finish.
Mhm.
Last season, we just crapped the bed. We just could not, for the life of us, pull ourselves together. But we have much more cohesion this season, and I feel like it's really showing in our overall results.
Yeah. Seeing your 1 and 2 pretty much being auto wins really helps a team, honestly. There's a lot of teams in the past that we've seen where if 2 players are going undefeated for part of a season, that team's generally getting wins, because the only way it wouldn't happen is if all other 3 members of the team fail to win their matches. This will be a very tough week for Rice Bowl and T-Stew. I have all the confidence in the world that they can both do well. I also know how good your Mumkid and Anna Zabar. You versus Ducharmo, I'm very interested to see how that one plays out.
Ducharmo swept me, and it was because I basically stuck to Face Hunter all 3 games, and it was not a deck I was really as familiar with as I had hoped. So I'm definitely going to be changing up my strategy this time around, and I think this time I'm more comfortable in the current meta, so I think that'll make a difference. But
yeah,
Ducharmo's Ducharmo.
exactly.
I mean, the fact that I have an 85 PR advantage is kind of stupid in the first place, but I am not gonna write on that. It's like, you know what? It's Ducharmo.
This is a PR difference that just doesn't matter.
It's a PR difference that doesn't matter, and it also doesn't make any lick of sense.
Yeah,
PR
for sure.
Is about the same in Hero, sure.
Like
it's basically about the same, and Ducharmo's like 550 in Hero.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what the actual hell?
He's had a lot more. It just seems like he's had a lot more success overall in Hero. Probably played a couple more seasons. But again, I'm just looking at it. I'm gonna give it to Rice Bowl because he's on fire. I'm gonna say I will give it to your Mumked. Coming off of a loss.
I think that's fair.
You versus Ducharmo. That's a toss up.
I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna really depend on what classes we each bring. Honestly.
Yeah. I do think it's gonna depend on classes. I'm gonna say Spartan takes it over Mad at Arms. Spartan's a lot better than 290 PR. I know Mad at Arms is as well, and then his 269 PR. So that will be close. And I will give it to Biz over Haster in the 5. Even though Haster is doing well this season at a 2-2 record. I really want to see Biz step up and get a good win here. I do think your team. I will say that it goes 5, and that it's kind of likely your match with Ducharmo might decide things. It all depends on the order of the matches. So that would be like, this match might have a little bit more impact in the end. So yeah, I'm very excited for this match.
JR, you tossed around the idea that we would play your match after Tavern Talk, but instead It's going to be much later on in the week, and I think that means it will probably end
Yeah.
up being the clincher. This is, I
It's
think,
right now playing on Saturday night. I'm going to double check with him, but that's probably what's happening. We were going to play tonight, but unfortunately, once we found out that the nerfs were going to go into effect today and affect our match, it was like, all right, well, that's probably not a good idea then. So,
Yeah.
sad
Yeah.
face.
That's for sure. Smart play by you guys.
Yeah.
That being said, I think, I mean, Rice Bowl and T Stew are both. If you watched Hearth Center last night, both Rice Bowl and T Stew are in the top of the player power rankings, and only Blue Spartan on the other team is there. So I think actually all three of them, Rice Bowl, T Stew, and Blue Spartan, are probably going to win. And then I will give actually the edge to Haster, and then I think it's probably going to be decided by JR versus Desharmo.
Mm-hmm.
No pressure.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny because like my match against Rotted 2 weeks ago was like the deciding match. So I get it. I mean, we weren't the last match to finish, but that was the match that ultimately sealed it. So yeah, we're gonna hope that I'm hoping it. I'm hoping like we keep that momentum going. I think if Matt or Mighty Biz end up winning this week, it's going to be pretty huge for us.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they're both doing pretty well for themselves. They had a bit of struggles the last couple weeks, but I think I definitely believe in them. I definitely think that everybody's really contributing, and I feel like that's a big reason why we're doing so well so far. So hopefully it continues. I'm just gonna
Awesome.
keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah. That's so. Man, this Legacy Week is gonna be really interesting. But we have to keep moving on, and next series up is Hero Series, our last Hero Standing series.
Oh yeah.
In our first match, this is a fun one. This is JR's team and my team going head to head.
The shenanigans that are abound, I must say.
Yes.
Yeah, this one is obvious. Okay, so my PR is a little lowered here, but I digress. Anyway, yeah, no, Tampam coming off some rough losses the last 2 weeks. We're still in pretty good shape, but overall, we definitely want to pick ourselves back up after that. Now we're going up against F2L Black, and I guess we're kind of really thinking like, this is a really strong team. We're just going to kind of hope that, knowing that they're in a similar boat to us, maybe we'll actually, find some success. Maybe we'll actually pick up the wins. I think Desharmo versus Hockey is probably the closest one out of all these matches. That one's going to be pretty sweet. I think against Catharsis, I'm definitely worried about playing against him. Swept me in Legacy last season, which I will admit it was definitely I just did not have a good handle on that meta. So I I definitely think I could do better, but I'm not underestimating this guy. He's definitely a very strong player. Oz versus Itachi is kind of one of those matches that, based upon how differently these guys have been seeded, I'm shocked it's happening. Same with Rabobson versus Bitbeaker. Like the F2L Black seeding right now is just kind of insane.
Yeah.
It's like there's a joke I want to make, but I'm not going to make it because it references something that I shouldn't reference.
Oh, okay.
But I will just say it's very interesting to watch the overall makeup of how, like, damn, the PR just does not reflect the overall strength of this team. My goodness gracious.
Yeah, like Itachi
Yeah.
could be in the 4 seed after this week, which is so utterly insane to me.
Itachi played 2 weeks in the 4 seed. He played the last 2 weeks in the 4. He
Mm,
did get his first win of the season. Last week. Oh, I didn't play last week, so I'm not exactly familiar with the matchups, player to player. But we played against no pros here, and Itachi got a big win. Rabobson, and then Itachi got a win, and I think everybody else on our team lost. So it's very unfortunate. Our team coming off two very harsh losses, but I think our team's ready to bounce back. I'm extremely excited to play Wash. Who, I mean, you're very fortunate to have him as a 5 seed. He's such a good player.
oh yeah.
So I think I wish I could exactly
So-
put my finger on like how the week's gonna go. I'm very likely one of the last matches to play in the match, so maybe me versus Wash is gonna be a big decider. But not 100% sure. Um, but I think for all these matches, just excited to see like if what exactly changes when it comes to the classes that get brought and played. So I think that's gonna obviously have a big impact on everything. Um, yeah, I'm just excited to see how this match plays out.
Yeah.
Um, so you may see some discrepancies in some of the values here. Like Tam Pam has 59 points, whereas F2L Black has 48 points, and they're both 2-2. But if you actually look at the rankings, Tam Pam has been facing the weakest strength opponents, and F2L Black has been facing the strongest strength opponents. So it may look like F2L Black is sort of falling behind, but I think that this is probably going to be their starting week. I'm sorry, JR, but I'm gonna side with Dr. Fish this time.
You're dead to me, man.
Man,
Okay, I mean,
I'm.
you can find a different host.
Aw, nah.
Nah,
We don't need to find new hosts.
I'm not that petty.
Nah.
I
Yeah.
could be, but yeah, I
Debatable,
think
I guess.
I think JR, you gotta crack down on this hero match and make sure that it doesn't slip.
Yeah. Our team is gonna be ready to go, and I know yours will as well. So get it. All right. So moving on from the Tavern Talk rivalry match to looking at two of the strongest teams in Hero right now by points. And Geranium, take me through BLAST versus AskHS.
Yeah, so BLIST and AskHS are just two of the closest teams based on who they've been facing, the amounts of points that they've been getting, and you can sort of see just the strength of the players super duper stacked. Um, Neji, Avi, somehow both of them are 2-2. I have no idea how that's happening. Um, I'm going to give the slight edge to Neji here. Mr. Python versus Lotus Knight, just
Oh,
another slobber knocker of a match.
yeah.
I really
Seriously.
hope that's streamed. But like both the 1 and the 2 seed are both insane. And then uh, RoboCats in Hero in his element versus Dr. Bomb. I think RoboCats is he's been showing just how insane it is that he's able to work with Avi, his brother, and just continuously put up great results. And then you have Kel versus 2-star Mako. Kel was the MVP last season. 100% of the time, everyone voted for Kel.
Oh yeah, the
Um,
All-Star.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna go ahead and give it to him. And then Saku versus Doubles. Saku keeps putting himself down, saying that he's going to lose in all the messages I see. But he's 3-1. I think he's got it. So I think um, with Neji and probably I'm gonna say Kel and Neji and Kel taking it for SKHS. I think Blast might actually take this week.
Mhm.
Very close though.
Okay. Yeah. Man, I really want to pick both of my legacy players. I will give it to Neji over Avi because Neji usually does really well off of losses. He usually prepares very well. Python versus Lotus, gosh, that's such a good match. But Python's absolutely on fire this season, and just for that reason, I think I will favor him slightly over Lotus. I obviously would not be surprised if Lotus won. RoboCats versus BOMD. I'll give it to RoboCats. I love BOMD, fantastic player. I think RoboCats just is in his, like Brandon said, in his element. Mako versus Kel. We'll give it to Kel. We see Shaman brought by Mako, and it's not like Druid, Hunter, and Rogue aren't both good classes in themselves. Like there's a chance Mako doesn't need to play the Shaman. But if Shaman does come into play, I think that might be a potential letdown class. With there are buffs, um, but we don't exactly know how well that's gonna do. And Saku versus Doubles, I will give it to the GOAT, even though my Doubles one win is against me. I am not picking against him because he beat me. I'm picking Saku because he's doing so well this season, and I think he's gonna continue to do so. So that turns out it's gonna be a 3-2, and it just depends on Lotus versus Python for me.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's good that the shaman. Um, you don't actually have to win with it because it isn't. It's hero, not conquest.
Yes.
But yeah, that shaman feels like a letdown.
Mm-hmm.
But
We'll see.
I mean, a lot of crazy things can happen in Hero. I'm very excited to see if that ends up paying off. And I mean, either way, the good thing about Hero is you don't have to win with every deck, unlike in Legacy. So
Yeah.
that can certainly work to your advantage.
I mean, all I know is I know which class isn't getting banned.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we have one more match, and we have another top contending team and a team that has been on the rise. Started a bit rocky, but has come out to a 2-2 record so far with 56 points. We're talking about Vodastone Confidence versus Inferno THL. We have matchups: Heat Shock versus Snake, Ridiculous Hat versus Vino Spumoni, Ufric versus Seabit, Boolean versus Nomad Farmer, and Gymphalos versus Clarity. Um, so I picked this match because I really think Inferno THL um does that could very easily stand a chance this week against a team that would against a team that people have had as a top team, and I don't think they're that far apart. I think Snake versus Heat Shock can easily be a close match. Snake is a very, very strong player, and him and Heat Shock are both out to 2-2 starts. Ridiculous Hat versus Vino Spumoni. I I don't know a whole lot about the 2, 3, and 4 of Inferno THL. I did one practice session with them at the beginning of the season. And I don't and things have changed from what like from really not knowing them at all very much to slightly knowing how good they are. Vino versus Hat, it's such a close match for PR. Hat's obviously an insane player. Ufric and Seabit, I will favor Ufric. But I think that Nomad versus Boolean is going to be an interesting match, as well as Clarity and Gymphalos. I will give Vino I usually never pick against Hat, but 4-0 in Hero is something that I don't want to ignore and just write off. So I will say it
But
might.
you're not ignoring it if you
I will.
pick Hat.
I will say 3-2 and give it to Vino, in this one. So I think I'll give it to Heat Shock, Vino, Ufric, Nomad, and Clarity, and say Inferno gets a one match upset over Vote of some confidence. But there will be a lot of points in these matches.
Yeah, I mean, Hat versus Vino. You see, I know that Dr. Fish really likes when the players' PRs are very similar, and it doesn't get much closer than Hat and Vino. But it's definitely a very different story based on the win rates there.
Yeah.
Um, I am tempted to say the same thing. I think this could be a tie. It's
Ooh.
I think it's there was a week of ties last week, but maybe it will continue this time. Is my prediction.
Cool.
I could see that. This one is, I don't know. Vote of some confidence, I feel pretty good about, but just because they've got a little more consistency going for them. But Inferno, I mean, they got their hot players right now, and I could see those continuing that momentum that they've built up. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna make a quick commercial break here, and then we'll get right back to the matches, starting with going to our Open Decklist series, starting with Pro.
Of course. And thank you so much for tuning in to Tavern Talk. If you're enjoying our show, make sure you check out Around the Saloon on Mondays and Ronnie Tuesday on Heart Center on Sunday that you will never guess. Is that not enough content for you? Well, we stream THL matches every single night from Thursday to Sunday starting at 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern. All evening match schedules are to be determined by player and caster availability. No purchase necessary, and it's void where prohibited. But wait, that's not all. We also have incredible matches on weeknight afternoons on Schoolstone. Precise days, times and days are subject to availability. Please consider subscribing to our channel. The subscription enables the THL team to help cover the various costs of operating our website and improve the quality of our streams and content to our viewers. And I see someone asking in our chat, what is Prime Gaming? Well, that is a great question, because if you have Amazon Prime or Prime Gaming, you can sub to the channel for free. Subscribers will get a THL emoticon as well as a lovely THL chat badge and sub emotes. The Brushy Tuna emote, which used to be new, is now a month old, but is now available for subs, and it is swimmingly so. And please hit that heart button and keep the notifications on to make sure you catch our team broadcasting live. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Special note to our viewers, check out THL's check out THL's other social media points of interest. The website is teamhearthlegends.com. Follow us on Twitter on at THL_HS. Join us on Discord at Team Hearth Legends, and the THL POW podcast is wherever podcasts are sold.
All right, I start. Um, so, of course, both of these teams are they're pro teams. Popeye's chicken spicy chicken sandwich. We talked about them plenty of times before. Second place team from last season. Definitely watching out for them since they're still continuing that momentum. 3-1, 75 points. They have not had their bye yet, but I have a pretty good feeling that's not going to slow them down. And then they've got, of course, the Wash Tappers as their opponents, who are also doing pretty well for themselves. 2-1. Ufric and MMW are undefeated right now. Valdis is 2-1. Heatchalk and CMAC are struggling a little bit, but I think they'll bring it back. They're really good. It's still very early in the season. I actually think that Popeyes are doing really well, but anything is possible. These are some very tough matchups to call, honestly. Wet Goose versus Ufric, I definitely think could go either way. These guys are both really solid. Gurjim versus MMW, same thing. I feel like they're just both really good right now. Zabe versus Valdis. I mean, I forget Valdis is if he's ever had a PR or not, but I think he could definitely keep up with Zabe. Mick versus Heat Shock. Those are two pretty well-established players at this point. And then Myanodon versus CMAC. I mean, Myanodon's a 1-seed legacy right now. So, I mean, top caliber players. Nothing about this is going to be easy to call. So I give the slight edge to Popeye's spicy chicken sandwich, but I honestly would not be surprised if Wash Tappers pull off an upset.
It's so crazy that they have 75 points already in going into week 5. It's actually, I mean, Wash Tappers are certainly not out of it. It may look like they're 24 points down, but they are the 4th highest points per week team in the Pink Conference, and one of the highest in all conferences for pro. So I actually think this is maybe one of the best matches that Popeyes is going to have, one of the closest ones. I think CMAC. It's crazy to me that CMAC is in that 5th seed, but it's also crazy that Myanodon's there too. So I'm going to edge it out and say CMAC is going to take it over Myanodon, but that is very close. I really hope they stream that.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to get on stream. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with what everybody's been saying here. I'm very excited to see the 1 and 2 seed matches, how they play out. And because you have 2 undefeated players from Wash Tappers, and they have had their bye already. So, with again having 2 players who are winning, it's interesting that they had a week where nobody else was able to get a win, and they ended up not winning the week after Ufric and MMW both took victories. It's going up against Wet Goose, who is like, and GR Jim, who are both like perennial like they're both very high legend players. And I think that I think both of them might have qualified for the previous Masters tour. Uh, so it's gonna be a challenge, but I think that Wash Tappers can be up for the challenge big time. The core of the Wash U players is really strong. So and again, yeah, like you said, my Enidon versus CMAC would be great to have on stream. Um, see if any of the matches from here are actually on stream this week. Um, any other thoughts before I move on?
I think that covers it. I feel like you kind of summed everything up pretty well.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think this is definitely a marquee week for Wash Tappers, and I think Popeyes has to lose for Wash Tappers to be in it.
All right. The next one, we have um the pick from Uranium.
Of course, this is going to be Sheepies versus Clownstone. These guys are so close in so many different regards. Just Sheepies and Clownstone. Sheepies is the second highest points per week. Clownstone is the third highest points per week. And just the absolute strength of players on both teams is this is going to be the match to watch. Um, there is two subs. There's Super Chicken as a perma sub and German Shep as a perma sub. So Clownstone, they were doing pretty well with Zyrella and with Lumble on their team. But now instead they just have two people from the winning team last year.
Yeah.
So they, uh, I don't know why Super Chicken and German Shep weren't already on teams going into the season, but now they are going to prove why they were on the championship team.
Certainly makes you wonder.
Yeah. I was very I had some inside knowledge on this from like last week. I was just amazed when I heard that. Hey, I knew that because like German Shep was just a 1 week sub last week, but ended up turning into a permanent sub. Um, and having him as your 5 seed after taking a loss, that is quite good. And I am not. I believe the only way he would end up in the 4 next week is if Super Chicken loses, and I'm not sure either of them are gonna lose this week. Neji versus Why the Hunter is gonna be so good. Kalos Luna versus Ozonics is gonna be great. Nails versus Always Lethal. I might favor Nails. It just depends on the lineup that Nails. I think it's gonna be depending on lineups for Nails versus Always Lethal. Chicken versus Sheepy is gonna be amazing. Um, and I would favor German Shep. I don't know much about German Shep's opponent.
Yeah. I will say for Nails, he is the mage master, the spell mage master. And we didn't see many nerfs to spell mage. So
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still going to just have the time of his life out there. Um, yeah, German Shep, I think lost because he subbed into the 1,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
very like it's a very hard thing to do,
He did, yeah.
just subbing in. But I think in the 5 is whoa, going to be
Yeah.
complete opposite.
I'm gonna affectionately call this team For the Clowns now. So, that'll be fun. We have one more match, but I will give room for JR to give any. I will let JR give his thoughts.
I don't really have anything to add, honestly. This one is, I mean, with Pro, it's always like we don't have a lot of the classes in yet, so I do think this is going to be a very exciting match, but I don't know if there's anything I can really add to it, honestly.
All right. So next up, we have a Black Conference match: Hype Horizon versus Brushy Tuna. I picked this match because these matchups are so interesting. Um, and you might look and say, "Oh well, Hype Horizon probably will just demolish Brushy Tuna," but I would look again because, um, I think Lotus versus McBannerface, like McBannerface is is soon to be a grandmaster. And but Lotus Knight is just such a good player, and absolutely can beat McBannerface. I believe Lotus said that he has a 1-0 record against McBannerface so far, so looking to go 2-0, 2-0 against him. Liquid Ox versus Ducharmo. Oh, that's a great match. Ox has kind of found his groove again with Hearthstone. I would say that I favor Ox over Ducharmo, and I absolutely love both of these guys. Cool Kid versus Based Ink.
That sounds pretty pog.
That's a pog match. Just fantastic. I will be absolutely biased and pick Based Ink, and I think it's absolutely pog. And it's not like I'm picking because Based. I don't know. I mean, it might have something to do with Based being on Amber Flight Gaming now at this point, but also Based is just so good, such a great player, and can easily take a win over Cool Kid. Gamer RVG versus Ron Mexico. We've got Dalla Ron Mexico against Gamer RVG. Both players are so good. And I will give the edge to Ron there. I will say that Ron wins, and I'll say D-Money takes it in the 5 over Isocles.
That is also going to be a close one. Man, some really
That'll be
close
really
matches
close.
here.
Yeah.
Pro does not always give us that much to talk about because it's really hard to call.
Yeah.
A lot of these.
Knowing decks is so. If you can find matches that have decks, it's so nice. But obviously, there is not many decks in any series because of the patch. And there was a lot of confusion as to when it was coming out. So matches that might have been played or have classes might have just got pushed back because of it. So
Yeah, the few matches or decks we do have are ones that matches have already been played, just because they needed to get it done before the patch happened.
yeah,
But man, Brushy Tuna is getting 17 points per week, so the 17-point deficit is literally just 1 week
Mhm.
of Brushy Tuna playing. This is definitely an insanely close set. I think with Base Think and Cool Kid, I'm going to agree. I mean, Cyndaquil was released in 1999, and Cool Kid is from 2001, so I think that Based has age difference there.
Dang, why didn't I think of that? Okay,
That's fantastic.
outwitted. Just
Also,
complete.
Cyndaquil, best Johto starter. Don't at me.
Oh no, I'm not adding you on that.
But
It's an agree from me, and I love my grass types.
this is Tavern Talk, not Poke Talk, so unfortunately, I'm going to
We could always
talk
change
about
that
this
for a
after.
moment, Just saying.
Yeah, that was all I was going for. We can get back into this.
But yeah, I think that this is I'm surprised that Isocles, the D Money, aren't doing so well. So I actually don't even know which one to give the edge to. I think both of them will be winning very soon.
Awesome.
Sounds about right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So we've gone through 3 series, which means we got 1 left, and boy, it's a wild one.
One more set.
Yes, exactly.
It's a series I know next to nothing about, but I'm going to try and make it sound like I sound smart.
Nice.
JR, why are you bullying? Why did you pick this match?
I picked this match.
Okay.
Remember, I don't pick my own matches. Hint.
Dr. Fish, why are you bullying?
Because I want to talk about the reigning champs. We haven't talked about them for a few weeks now.
I mean, that's probably not true, but
no, it's actually pretty true.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I feel like we.
I have been keeping track a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, we got Everyone's a Winner versus the Wild THL Fanatics. Wild THL Fanatics, very strong looking team, but unfortunately just really not finding their groove. And then of course Everyone's a Winner, you're returning champions with only 4 matches dropped out of their first 4 matches. And currently in the lead right now with a 3-0 of Absolute versus Labore Sangre.
Yep.
I mean, we do talk about my teams a lot, but when they're doing well, can you blame me? At least I only have 2 teams. Also,
It's
you know,
also it's
that,
also
that's
and it's
also
all
that
and it's
also
also it's also op bias.
OP bias. Yeah, I was gonna say blame Fish. Everybody, it's like blame
Yeah.
Canada, blame Fish.
Yep.
But yeah, still 4 matches left in this one. I I mean, everyone's a winner's just they seem unstoppable once again.
Mhm.
But I feel like I said that about F12 Iridian last season, and that proved to not be true. So maybe I'm going to be wrong about this team. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean the only team that took down F12 Radiant was Everyone's a Winner. So
Yes, that is
I
also
think
true.
that it can definitely be said that this like there's a chance they can just run the table undefeated again. I do think that
Well,
F12
they were
Viridian. I
undefeated
do
last
think that
season.
when they go up against F12 Viridian, that match is going to be insane.
Absolutely, but
Oh my
but
gosh.
let's do
Let's
recall.
let's look at this
Um,
one.
Everyone's a winner did actually lose 1 match last
They
season.
lost to Hair Club on in the last
Yeah.
week of the season.
Yes, which is hilarious and unfortunate all at the same time.
Yes.
But
Hmm.
I mean, there's still 4 matches to play.
Yeah.
It's not decided, but
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, hey, okay, this is Turtle's only win in all of THL right now.
Sure.
So maybe he's gonna repeat.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, Wild is weird because you can definitely get a counter lineup out and make it very tough for your opponent to win. And so that might be part of what Wild THL Fanatics needs to plan for this week. I think my most interesting match is Hazer versus Slod. Because Slod's a very good Wild player. So I could see him taking either beating Hazer or definitely getting yeah, or maybe or at least getting a 3-2 over to Hazer. And yeah, Rice Bowl, you are correct. You can get counter lines from Sanders. It feels like it's more. It feels like it happens more in Wild that I hear of, anyways. I might not just not be in tune as much with the Pro Series players. Um, but yeah, I do think that this match is very everyone's a winner favored. I would think that Sunday 6J and Taggerall could all take wins here. Although Electric Sheep City, also a good player. Going up against 6J though, it's gonna be very interesting to see what lineups get brought after these nerfs.
yeah, there's the hope of like, oh, maybe the 5th seed is going to be something that Wild THL Fanatics can take advantage of. Nope, 6J's
No,
there.
it's just 6J. Yeah, he went
6J.
undefeated all of last season. I think he went undefeated.
He did.
Okay, cool. Just making
6J
sure.
was the one we had on the show last season, right?
Yeah, we had him and Rotted.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so he did go undefeated.
Awesome. And so it's interesting to see him have 2 losses, but this meta's also been kind of weird in Wild.
Weird and wonky.
Yeah, it really has. And it's just interesting to see with the shakeup, what this shakeup is gonna do to the meta. Yeah, and speaking of matches with a result in this series, Uranium has picked out one that actually also has a result.
Oh yeah. And you may think that choosing an O team versus Felmy Amarek is also bullying. I was just complaining choosing the
Bully.
best team in the league. But Felmy Amarek is actually like has had such an unlucky schedule. If you look at the Wild standings,
Dave?
right now Felmy Amarek has by far the highest opponent strength,
Yeah.
and an OYO team has one of the weakest. So it's actually much, much closer than you may think. Right now, Felmy Amarek has played against the top team, the
Mhm.
second team,
Mhm.
as in everyone's a winner, F12. They've played against the third team, Mancrook's Revenge, and they've played against the fifth team, the Pog Merchants, and now they're playing against the fourth team. So now, at this point, they're playing against every single one of the top 5 teams, and like Felmy Amarek is definitely not out of it. They have been the highest scoring team against each of those. So actually, you may look at this and see like, oh man, Mareka has no chance, but that's definitely not the case.
Yeah, with having a bunch of players at 2-2 and being 0-4, it just means that they weren't able that they just couldn't get their wins together essentially as a team. Or like there was a week where 2 players won versus getting that third win. So I definitely think this team will turn it around. I could see it being against a Noyo team, especially already having a win by Skittles over It's Me, Mike V. I happen to have learned that it was a reverse sweep of Mike V's Dark Glare Warlock, which is a big feat in itself because Dark Glare can just pull off some crazy wins. So good job to Skittles. So yeah, I think a Noyo can definitely. I think a Noyo has is kind of favorite. I think I'd say Bone Masher over Peanuts, but the rest of them could easily be could go either way.
I think this is the start of Family Rex comeback. I think
Nice.
I think they've gotten past all the hardships, and now it's now they can finally start putting in the work and showing points.
For sure. All right. So we have one last match to go over, and that is Hog Merchants versus Hair Club. And we have some interesting matches. We have Pace. We have Pace, who's in the chat, going up against Memnarch in the 1C. We have Awful Artist versus Otters in the 2. We have Maxibon versus Concerned Mom in the 3. Tom Carter versus White Delight in the 4. And Lasagna versus Burnt in the 5. And I can't believe Lasagna and Burnt's a 5 seed match. Because goodness gracious. That's
Seriously.
That's insane. Like, Lasagna is a very strong. Like, I've been learning about Wild. And I'm not sure exactly why Lasagna is on such a losing streak. But I would love to see him turn it around. I know Burnt's also very good. Hair Club as a team, like, if they put the pieces together, they're probably the third or fourth best team if they can put the pieces together, and start and get more wins. I don't know if it's gonna happen against Pog Merchants. But I expect this to be a close series. It's really great to see Memnarch being 3-1. He's kind of struggled. He's struggled a bit at the beginning of the seasons for the past couple of seasons. So seeing him in the 1 seed is fantastic. And then Artist versus Otters, I would favor Otters. Maxi versus Concerned Mom. As long as Maxi doesn't have any mix-ups with his decks, I think I'd give it to Maxi. And then I think I'd give it to Lasagna and then White Delight, so that would end up being that would come down to Pace versus Memnarch for the match.
Yeah, I'm going to predict Maxi once again will win it at a diner over pancakes.
Heh.
Yeah, indeed.
Now you're making me hungry, and I don't know how to feel about that.
Well, we better end the
Yeah.
show quick then.
Sure.
But yeah, I think this is barely going to go the way of the Pog Merchants. I don't even know why Lasagna is not performing. So I don't know if that's going to continue. Lasagna definitely should be getting a win here, but I predict it's Pace, Maxi, and Lasagna as the winners and taking the week.
I can see that. I mean, these are like Wild just also has some insanely talented teams of players, and it's very interesting just because, like, I know with Wild, we may not be as familiar with just how talented some of these players are. So it's like, take notes, everybody.
Yeah, for sure. If I'm not mistaken,
And you rarely often are mistaken, to be fair.
That would mean that have come to. If that was the final match, it means that we are going into our final part of our show, and this is gonna be fun because we are going to do an interview of someone who, as far as I know, has not been interviewed yet on this show. I'm not sure if that's 100% true. But
I don't think we did a proper interview.
But JR, Geranium, and I would like to do an interview of you.
Shoot.
We would like to
I
do.
mean, I've been asked questions before, but I don't think I've actually had a proper done. So you know
Oh,
what? Let's do it. You got my
nice.
full attention.
I'm very happy about that. So
And for the record, I had no idea they were planning to do this.
yes, so this idea comes from the one and only Captain Extraordinaire Diamond came up with this idea.
Somehow I always know I can count on Diamond.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and Uranium, you can ask our first couple of questions.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay. So, first
Alright.
question. Being that you have taken part in 11 seasons of Legacy to this point, when will you finally graduate to being senior Juggerlaw at your firm?
Ah! I mean, I don't think Senior Juggerlaw has much of a ring to it. I mean, it's J.R. Juggerlaw, not Junior Juggerlaw. So it's like, I don't really think that works. I appreciate the thought there, but I don't think, I don't, I think I'm pretty confident at this point that it's going to always be J.R. Juggerlaw. I think the real question is, when am I going to finally change my in-game username to reflect that, because I've been lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Not the first time you changed it, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Question 2, and this question is formatted a bit weirdly, so if you can get the question up on screen.
It's up on the screen right now.
Oh my.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on.
JR, IDK, and F2L are okay. Why are you OP? You are 2 for 3
Ooh.
and 1 to 0. Or sorry, 1 to 0 in T3.
Okay. Hold on a second.
Trying to figure out the last part.
Come on, he's
Oh my god.
1 to 0
This is
in
too.
to 3.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
got the 2 for 3 part.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
2 and
1
1.
2. Yeah, 1 to 0 in the third.
Like, it actually does make sense.
Yeah, I like it.
You know, I mean, I feel like this is one of those like hidden codes where like the secret is buried treasure or something once you figure it out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said before, I'm kind of shocked that my team is doing so well, but I'm all for it. I'm just happy that uh, we're making waves. Everybody's taking notice.
Notice we have.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so I think the final question I might ask is juggling law and Hearthstone can be hard. Have you ever been a rules lawyer for a card game?
Uh, oh boy. You know, I would say when I played Yu-Gi-Oh, um I was kind of like very rules oriented, very technical at times. Same thing when I played same in a way when I played a Magic the Gathering, but I think that's also because I played in college with a lot of other um like very you know, academic people. So that definitely contributed to it. I will say I don't think I mentioned the story. I know I mentioned the story to you guys, but I don't know if I mentioned the story in the show. There was a time where like I nearly got myself beaten up because of how technical I was with the rules and how much of a stickler I could be. Including one time where I called out a guy for switching decks in the middle of a tournament at a Yu-Gi-Oh local, and apparently he was upset because he thought it was ridiculous that I decided to do that.
Well,
That's against the rules, isn't
I
it?
feel like that is
Yeah,
something.
that
I
was-
feel like that is definitely something that would merit being called out.
I mean, I will say this: the guy didn't like attack me directly or something,
Sure.
or like he didn't like go up to me and be like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" or something. But
Yeah.
just knowing that that was something that upset him and made him kind of go like, "What the hell?" just made me like scratch my head and like, okay, like
JR,
was I supposed to not say something?
JR, it's cool that you were a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh, though. We have some secret Yu-Gi-Oh fans. I played it a lot when I was younger. Itachi was like competitive in
Yeah,
tournaments.
Itachi-
I knew of
yeah,
Itachi.
yeah,
Itachi and I never met when we played Yu-Gi-Oh, but I knew of him at
Yeah.
the time. So when he joined THL, I made a point of mentioning like, if this guy's anywhere near as good at Hearthstone as he is at Yu-Gi-Oh, you're gonna want him on your team.
yeah.
Lo and behold, I was right.
Yeah, he's a Battlegrounds championship away from having all 5 championships, and he had them
Yep.
all.
Yep.
He would have had them
Yep.
all if Battlegrounds didn't start. Essentially,
Yep. He'd be the first player. He's the first player to accumulate a championship in every single Hearthstone like regular series.
Constructed series, yeah.
Yeah, constructed series. So I mean, that's pretty cool though.
Yeah,
All the same.
And he's playing for a chip in the next 2 weeks.
I will say this though, Yu-Gi-Oh! I kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like playing in an actual card game, knowing how much money I spent and knowing like Hearthstone, in my opinion, is just so much better designed. It's just not having to worry about getting cards you need from like from other people. Like it's just that whole marketing system. Like yeah, it allows you to make money more easily, but I don't think it's designed to benefit the players at that point. So I'm kind of glad that that was never something I had to worry about with Hearthstone. That like I moved on from Yu-Gi-Oh. I met some shady people in Yu-Gi-Oh. Let's put it that way. It could get really scary. So I think Hearthstone, as far as the community goes, it has its bad apples, but I am so happy that I've had such a bond with people in THL. Many people who I haven't even met in person, and I feel like closer to them than people I knew in real life playing Yu-Gi-Oh. It's just
that's
night and
awesome.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Cool. I figure we're running a little late. I'll just ask one of the last 2 questions, and that is last week your team got your legacy team got 0 points. Oh wait, it says last week you got 0 points for your team. What's your favorite ice cream, and why do I need to get it? What's your ice cream flavor?
My favorite. So I have a lot of different favorite ice creams as far as like what I love, because ice cream is wonderful.
Yes.
But my favorite ice cream, if you had to like ask me to like pick a favorite, chocolate chip cookie dough.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, big fan of that as well.
If we're talking about like individual single flavors, chocolate chip cookie dough. I love cookie dough in all of its forms. That ice cream flavor is, in my opinion, one of the greatest things that people have ever created. I also do, but I will also admit I'm a personal fan of the Ben and Jerry's flavor half baked.
Oh yeah, same.
Because to me, that's like combining 2 of the best things in ice cream and just making one, and it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. But yeah, if you tied me to a chair, forced me to pick my favorite, it's gonna be the cookie dough. Gonna be the cookie dough.
Fantastic.
I will eat cookie dough night and day. New York City even has its own edible cookie dough chain that I've had, and oh my god, is it something special? So
I'll have to go there.
Awesome.
Oh my god, yeah.
Give me the name.
It's called Dough, D-O.
Dio?
You can actually order from them too, which is great. They
I'll
deliver.
do that then.
That's fantastic.
You'll dough that then.
True.
I would
Yeah,
do
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Do
All
you
right.
have one more fiche, I think?
It's I do. But I think we'll save that one for another time and go ahead and just kind of give as quick of a rundown I can of the matches for the weekend. We have one match so far for tomorrow night. Atachi versus Mark Siren Pro. It's myself and Milo casting, or Nice Jewish Owl. Friday night fights, we have Wild Series Doc McButt versus Lefty at 8 p.m. 9 p.m. is going to be the first lobby of the Battlegrounds finals. We have 10 p.m. Hero Series match, Isocles versus Ron Mexico. Myself and Corridon, I think, will be casting the standard matches, and in Corridon and Blue Sombrero will be doing Battlegrounds. Salty Saturday, so far we have a 10 p.m. match, Legacy Saku versus Zethund. That'll be myself and Isocles, so we have either a 9 or an 11 p.m. match open. If you'd like to play then, contact myself or Isocles. Or Lotus. And Schoolstone, we have a Saturday Wild match, Battle Tagger versus Dr. BOMD. We talked about that match already, so we'll get to see that one live on stream. That'll be Marty, Rotted Zombie, and Jailstorm on the cast. Sunday, we don't have any matches so far for Sunday Schoolstone, so get in contact with Lotus Knight if you are available to play then. Sunday Showdown, Pink Pro Series match, R-Hat versus Marty B, Aeon versus F12 Scarlet, and then 9 p.m. will be Battlegrounds Lobby B. Casters for the pro match will be Myanodon and Dollar Bills very likely, and then Steffi and Saku will do BGs. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, the Rotted
good.
Zombie and Jailstorm absolutely killed it on commentary for Maniac Mondays this week. So I am hyped for that School Stone match on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean I love Rotted Zombie, and Jailstorm's also fantastic to cast with. So that should definitely be a great one. So,
Seems like a pretty exciting week overall.
definitely. So I guess that'll do it for this week of Tavern Talk. As always, I've been Dr. Fish alongside JR Juggler Law and Geranium Battle. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we will see you next week.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe and have a fantastic weekend.
Get your vaccinations in order.
Yep.
And have a great week.
Yep.
Hey, I already got my second dose. I don't know about the rest of it.
Friday. I'm
Got mine
getting it. I'm
yesterday.
getting it Friday.
Wait, so I'm the first fully vaccinated individual on Tavern Talk. Yes!
Let's go.
We gotta get a guest that's already been vaccinated, so that way we can.
I mean, I don't mean.
I'll get rotted on. I'll get rotted on here.
Ah!
It's a bit unfair.
But anyway, yes, everybody stay safe, get vaccinated, have a good time,
Yep.
but a safe time as well, and just take care of yourselves.
Yep. Take care, everybody.